Hello everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel if you are returning from Kaguya-sama Season 2, and if you're new here, hi, how's it going? My name is Mr. Underhill. I run the channel here where we talk about seasonal anime, episode by episode, and today we're going to be talking about Kaguya-sama Love is War Ultra Romantic, Episode 1. Before we get into it though, I'm going to need to see 100 likes on this week's video before next week. That way you get yourself a gold star and ensure that I return to talk about Episode 2. Now that said, I'm probably gonna do it anyway because the pinnacle of comedy, romance, anime, of rom-coms is here. It is the return of Kaguya-sama. So with that said, grab yourself a warm cup of tea, throw this video on in another tab, and let's talk about it. So, there's a feeling, right? There's an emotion that comes with Kaguya-sama that it's hard to describe, right? Like with Kaguya, there's this feel. I'm feeling it right now. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my bones. Although I'm a puppet man, so I do not have bones. I can feel it in my stuffing. It's this warm fuzzy, right? It's like a warm fuzzy feeling. When I watch it, I get all warm and fuzzy, and I'm giggling like an idiot, and I'm laughing, and I'm cheering, and there's just something about, no show gets me to laugh the way Kaguya-sama does. Like, even Konosuba, which I love dearly, right? Like, it gets me to laugh out loud too, but Kaguya gets me to laugh consistently, almost at, every joke. Like, there's very few jokes in Kaguya post-season 1 that don't make me chuckle. I was pretty vocal about the fact that I thought the first season of Kaguya was pretty okay. I thought it was fine, it was okay. Season 2 is pinnacle comedy, right? I was like, oh my god, they nailed it, right? There's the perfect amount of every character, right? Season 1's a little heavy on Chika, right? Kaguya season 2 is they leaned heavy on Chika because she was the funniest in season 1, right? But season 2 fleshed everybody out. We got to really understand them. Ishigami's best boy of the decade contender, right? Ishigami, absolute king, right? So the fact that we got to sit there and really absorb these the characters through season 2, and now that has me so curious where we're going, because with season 3 it's you can tell whatever joke. We already know these characters in and out, so we know, the best part about Kaguya is the fact that the jokes make sense for the characters. It's not just, random situational humor. It's character-based comedy, which is the stuff that I love. I love when the comedy comes from the fact that these characters are colliding into each other, right? And with Kaguya, it's just perfect, man. I sit there, I have a big dumb grin on my face, I'm laughing out loud, I feel all warm and fuzzy because I ship friggin' Shirogane and Kaguya to the moon and back again. Those are my guys. This is my show, right? That's my ship right there. Now it's funny because I said in the world, I said in our Love After World Domination video that that spring anime said romance. Right? It said romance, but the difference is with Kaguya, right? With Kaguya, it's a little unfair because we've spent 3 seasons with these characters, so we already have a pre-established bias. So I do feel as though, it's a little unfair to compare Kaguya to the other shows that are romantic in nature this season because we already ship it, right? We already ship it. We already love them. But that said, man, seeing Shirogane and Kaguya just sort of being goofy and not wanting to confess yet, it's I love it. And the funniest thing is, I know there's people. I know there's people. In fact, there's friends of mine who genuinely are I don't understand the appeal. I don't get it, right? My friggin' partner doesn't get it, right? People are just I don't get it. I don't understand, right? They the whole how this is a slow burn. Why aren't they together? That's that started as the point, right? The point of the show, to me, the whole joke of the show is that the instant that they confess, the whole tone of the show will change, right? Not to say that the show is over, but just that the show would inevitably change, right? But the show is so good right now, right? It's so good, and the constant, will they, won't they, and then they never do, and you're aha, right? It's the comedy is always there because of it, right? There's always the tension there, right? But here's the thing, even after they get together, here's the thing. There's always going to be new tension, right? That's why I'm not going to say that the show would end if they got together. Hell, for all I know, they might get together this season. Don't tell me if you know. But there's just something about this show, right, that goes beyond just the like will they won't they, right? And on top of that too, the will they won't they, like I've seen people say like Kaguya is a slow burn, like yes, because the point is not like look at this romance in a shoujo style or look at this romance in like a shonen style. It is shonen, right? But it's not the shonen you think, right? Like it is like a shonen romance, but not in the way that like Horimiya is a romance, right? Kaguya, the reason why we love Kaguya is because it's a battle shonen without any punches being thrown. Although this week there are arm wrestling shenanigans, but like it's a battle shonen in the same way Death Note is a battle shonen. That's why we love this. You know what I mean? That's why this show is so good, right? Like it's literally Death Note meets like I don't know, some rom-com. It's Death Note meets some romance anime, right? Like that's what this is. And it's so good. And it's so good. And it's so good to have the show back. Like, just, okay, as an example, speaking of the romance, right? I'm going to jump into the second story of the 3 stories this week and talk about the whole line thing. So, Kaguya, our dear sweet Kaguya, did not understand what being left on red means. Because, again, she's like a rich girl, right? So she's never had, or she's a rich girl, but, like, she's never had, like, her own... Like, she had her old phone, but it was crappy and blah, blah, blah. She never had a smartphone, right? So when she sent emails, like, she would never know if they were read, right? So she's getting messages from Shirogane and everybody, unaware that she's giving them read receipts, right? Like, read receipts. Like, she's not aware that that's happening, right? So Shirogane's thinking, like, she's ignoring me, oh my god. Only for him to then realize, like, wait a minute. She doesn't know. Because the instant that I send these messages, it's an instant read receipt. So, like, what the hell? Like, is she just staring at her phone for 2 hours? Which, like, yes, she is! Right? But, like, he's not sure. And meanwhile, Hayasaka's just like, oh my god, right? And I'm like, Hayasaka, best girl, by the way. But Hayasaka, like, oh my god, I can't tell her, because if I tell her, she's gonna die of embarrassment. Right? But then he calls her. This absolute Chad level king calls her, right? And it's like, hey, so, Kaguya, I just wanted to let you know that I know you're not used to having Line, and you're not used to having a smartphone. Just wanted to let you know that, when you see messages, it actually shows you a read receipt. So, I can actually tell that you've read my last 3 messages. In fact, you read them immediately. And I could only think of one reason why you would do that. And I'm like, oh, he's got her. He's got her, it's over, right? It's the same thing every time Kaguya and Shirogane go toe-to-toe, right? I'm always like, he's like, one of them's got them, it's over, right? Like, there's no way out. And then there's always a way, right? So what happens is Kaguya just panics and is like, Hayasaka, help me, right? Like, and so Hayasaka's like, no, what you saw, actually, they were immediately read, you're right. But the reason for that is because the household actually screens her text messages, so they're read immediately by members of the household, and then they're sent to Kaguya, which is like, when he's like, wait, that's the norm? And Hayasaka's like, yes, that is in fact the norm. And he's like, oh no, and I'm like, no, Shirogane, for being so intelligent, you are so stupid. I was like, no! But yeah, and now he's too nervous to text her. I was like, god damn it. Like, it was great, though. Because, again, like, it just... Watching it, I was like, oh, he's got her. It's that feeling. It's this feeling that I can't explain. It's this Kaguya-sama, like, greatness feeling. The Kaguya greatness, you know what I mean? Like, I can't... Like, there's... It's funny, too, because with Kaguya, I also get the joy of watching my friends talk about it. Like, I can't wait to see Ayla talk about this. I can't wait to see Memory and Sun talk about this. Like, the best part of Kaguya is, like, laughing with everybody, right? Like, that's one of the best parts, is, like, actually just getting to sit and laugh with your fellow anime nerds and stuff like that. And it's like, because everybody... Generally speaking, I'd say like 90% of this community loves Kaguya, right? Like 90% of the people I talk to, at least, love Kaguya. So like, that's so much fun. Like, I can't wait to talk to them about, like, he almost had her, right? Like, he almost had her. Or the friggin' arm wrestling contest. Like, the fact that, like, Kaguya is now muscle queen. Orega muscle. Muscle. right? Like, the fact that now she's the muscle queen, right? Because she panicked because her hand got sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on her sweater already, mom spaghetti. Yes, but the fact that, like, her palm got sweaty and she panicked, so she just beats Shirogane in the arm wrestling contest, which they were not even really having an arm wrestling contest. I thought that they were going, like, full Super Saiyan, which is hilarious, because we literally get Dragon Ball references. Not only do we get a Super Saiyan Shirogane and a Super Saiyan Chica, we also get references to the Tournament of Power as well. I was losing my shit. Right? I was like, this is amazing. You guys know I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, so I was like, yes! Right? But I thought that they were actually, like, really going toe-to-toe, like, really having an arm wrestling contest, because we know that Kaguya is hella strong because of the bow that she lifts in OP2, and they actually showed the fact that she has to lift that bow that many times, and they replayed OP2 with the sound and everything, just Daddy Daddy Do played, like, 10 times. I was like, oh my god, it was great. Like... I have the giggles, I'm sorry, I'm just in a really good mood. So we know that Kaguya is tough. We also know Shirogane is tough, right? So we see them, and I think they're actually having, like, this real competition. But then we see, like, without the lens of, like, you know, like, the shonen anime lens, like, we see it, and they're just being goofballs, being like, oh, like, this is so hard, this is so tough, we're having such a strong arm wrestling contest. When in actuality, they're just, like, doing that to prolong the fact that they can hold hands. So, God, how dare you be so adorable? Like, how dare you? How dare you be so adorable? But she panics and she just slams this man's hand into the dust, thus becoming Muscle Queen, much to her dismay. And then later, after the, I was gonna say credits, but it's actually the OP, which is great, by the way. We get the king returning for the OP, but, like, the OP is awesome. I will talk about it more, maybe in another video or something, because I could gush. I love the different animation styles at one point. The OP is great. The OP is great. The fact that the king returns, by the way, also great. Love it. I'm gonna have to listen to this song on a loop, like, several times, pretty much all day. Probably while I'm editing these. I have 2 videos to edit today, so I'll probably be listening to that pretty much on a loop the whole day. But the best part is, after the credits, right, we see Ishigami and Chica, the ones who started this, actually do it, and Chica's like, he broke my arm! And he's like, yes! I did it! I am Champion Justice! Just, like, in the background, freaking out. I love Ishigami. Ishigami gets a lot to do, by the way. Like, Ishigami's my boy, right? Ishigami, my boy. He's my sweet boy, right? Everything after season 2 with Ishigami, that's my boy right there. That's my son, right? That's my boy. And I loved that he tried to save Eno the whole time. Like, I have to, like, not let her find out that I was listening, and also I don't want everyone to know that, like, she's been listening to this awkward ass, like, you're doing great. You're such a good girl, right? Like, stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, right? Because he hears this, and Miko's completely unaware. Like, Eno has no idea. And Eno, I'm not gonna lie, Eno listening to, like, ASMR sort of, like, reassurances from popular seiyuu does not surprise me in the slightest. But I did think it was hilarious. And also the fact that, and I'm probably off base here. But to me, that was like a whole ass free reference right there. That was like they're both like in an oasis, right? Like you see like the background's like sparkly, like they're in like a pool or something. And the one dude, they're both shirtless. One dude's a little taller than the other. He's got light brown hair, looking like a little bit of Makoto Tachibana. The other guy looking a little bit like Haru with the straight black hair. I'm just saying. I'm just super saying that was a free reference. My favorite show of all time, referenced in Kaguya, and you can't convince me otherwise, right? Like, that was great. I loved that like, I love the moment where Ishigami thinks he saved her, and then and then psych, no. I'm not gonna lie, Ishigami and Eno are very funny. Like, I really like Ishigami and Eno as, like, a duo, because Eno's very much, like, not having any of Ishigami's shit, right? Just wants basically nothing to do with the dude. And he's constantly, like, he's trying to help her out. He's trying to, like, save the day. And he does this as, like, a big hero moment. Like, you could say what you want about me, but I did what's best for you. And you're welcome. And then she plays the thing, and he's like, you idiot! Right? And then, like, boom, it ends. I need to stop. I'm gonna be here all day. I will be here all day. I need to bring in people to talk about Kaguya with me. I need to bring in more Kaguya fans to talk about this show, because, like, man... man, I got the warm fuzzies. I got the warm fuzzies going. I'm so glad to have this show back. I'm so glad. I'm curious, like, do I think that Kaguya and Shirogane will get together this season? They might. I will say it's also great, by the way, that because I saw so many people. I remember last season when they saw like the little hidden messages last season, right? By the way, I loved that there was even more to it, like give your heart, which I didn't even connect. Like give your heart, like I had no clue that was the message, but I did remember the continue message, right? So the continue message, I remember everyone saying like, "There's gonna be no season 3 because the continue's on no," and I'm like, "No, dudes, like in Japan, like the arrow's always at the bottom." Right, so like it's continue yes or no, like it's always on no. You move up to yes, right, to hit yes. So like, you know, so to me, I'm like, no, that I understood that like we were getting a season 3. There's no way we weren't getting a season 3, and here we are at season 3. But do I think they'll get together? I'm just saying, third season, third time's the charm. I think it could be possible. But if we don't, I ain't upset because it just means that eventually we're gonna get a season 4. And I'm all on board for that. But yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy, dudes. Like I have such a big smirk on my face. Anyway, I'm gonna go edit these. Outro. And that's going to do it for today's discussion, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I want to give a big thank you to the lovely people who help support us over on Patreon. And if you too would like to have your name scrolling past the screen, then be sure to check out that Patreon link in the description. And of course, a big thank you has to go to Asaki VT, Elizabeth Just Elizabeth, JCran23, Jeremy P, Matt87 Eagle, Shadow Creative, Shiorins, Stephen G, Stevie W, Trap Master, Trevor W, and Tristan G. Thank you all so much for your continued support. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. Check me out over on Twitch, on Twitter, all the fun stuff. Links to everything are in the first link in the description. Thank you so much for watching / listening, and I will see you in the next one.